Alright, so I've been desk is a little squeaky. I've been a hardcore Reason user for probably like 7 or 8 years, a long time. The majority of my career as a producer has been in Reason. But recently I got Ableton because I wanted to try out the live functionality of it, and I was teaching some students how to produce with Ableton. So I was like, probably should have the chops to do that. And the more I've been playing around with Ableton, the more I'm like, man, Reason is lacking in a few places. And then there are some aspects of Reason where I am still of the opinion that it's far better than Ableton. But I thought it would be interesting to make a little video series comparing the different softwares from different perspectives. So today we're going to be looking at the sequences in both Ableton and Reason, and I'm going to give my opinion as to what is better about each of them. Because while I think Ableton overall is a far superior sequencer, I think Reason has some aspects of its sequencer. And when I say sequencer, I'm talking about the piano roll, the arrangement view, all of that stuff. Reason still has some aspects of it that I think are still superior to Ableton. But I've been thinking about this a wee bit as I've been discovering the differences between Reason and Ableton, and what I've come down to so far is, in my mind, Reason is more of like a fully fledged DAW for kind of just the overall stuff, like recording, mixing. Like it's more in the overall basket, and there are reasons why I think that I'll probably get into in future videos on this topic. Whereas I think Ableton is more of a generic kind of like looper, sequencer, arranger. That's kind of how I've been thinking about it in my mind, but I'll get into more of the why in regards to that. So I have some sounds that I got from Splice, and I'm just going to mess around with them in probably both Reason and Ableton, and we'll see what we do in either. Alright, first thing that I really like about Ableton's sequencer is this ability to resize this thing up here in 10.1, and also the function they've got where you are able to drag your mouse to zoom in and out, and while you've clicked on it, just move your mouse left and right to kind of go around your window. That is really dope, and when I've gone back to using Reason, that's probably one of the features that I've found I miss the most, just in terms of getting around, is that there. One of the other big things that I have noticed about Ableton that at first I didn't understand. I was like, Ableton's mixer is absolute trash. I was thinking about session view. I was like, this looks gross, like it's hard to see, like Reason's mixer is far superior. And then it clicked for me, and I realized that you can mix everything from the arrangement view in Ableton. You don't have to go into session view once to do any mixing. All of this information that's here in session view is also here in the arrangement view. And when I realized that, I was like, oh, that's really dope. I actually really like being able to do everything from one page. I still think Reason's mixer is dope, and I still think that you can see certain information better on like a full mixer thing. But when I kind of realized that, I was like, these are two different things in terms of how one might go about mixing that. I must say I'm not as big of a fan of Ableton's keyboard commands. I haven't been able to customize them how I want to. Though that's one thing that I'm really happy with in Reason, is the keyboard commands that I have managed to program. I still think my keyboard commands in Reason are the best ever, and I haven't been able to get the same keyboard commands out of Ableton. I feel like I'm using two hands more. For me, Ableton, the keyboard commands just feel a lot clunkier than Reason. That's interesting. Let's use that. So I do really like the ability to be able to resize things in Ableton. and to be able to like make everything smaller. What's that called? Collapsing tracks. That's super dope. That's something you can't do in Reason easily. Yeah, being able to collapse stuff. Being able to resize stuff in Ableton is just so sick. You can't do that in Reason, it's super dumb. But they've just added this other feature in 10.1 where if you hit H, it automatically makes everything in your arrangement view fit onto the screen. That is so helpful. I've been finding myself using that all the time. I wasn't really an Ableton user before 10.1, but this is a feature that has been awesome since they added it a few days ago. And also, now adding Z zooms into whatever you've got highlighted, and X zooms out. Again, super awesome functionality. Reason already had this zoom in feature with Z, but it's dope that it's in Ableton now. Another really sick thing on Ableton is being able to solo stuff with the S button. Like, I've got these two tracks playing at the same time, but if I just want to listen to this one, I can just by pushing S. Or if I put like this one here on top, so you can hear it. Just by pushing S. That really helpful. So one thing I don't like about Ableton Sequencer is the fact that if I want to program drums, I have to hold down 3 keys, Command, Shift, M, to insert a MIDI clip. That's really annoying. Like, one thing Reason does super well is you've got different kind of right tools. So you've got like the draw tool or whatever, and it just makes adding MIDI clips and that kind of thing far easier. And that ties into the other thing that I wanted to talk about, which is how the piano roll behaves in Ableton as opposed to Reason. In Reason, you've got more control over it with draw tools and the ability to slice MIDI notes. Like in Ableton, you've got to double click and draw a MIDI note. I also can't slice that MIDI note at all using like the split function or right click and whatever. Like, I can't do anything to get rid of that note. Like, if I want that note shorter, or if I want 2 notes, I have to make it smaller and then copy it. That's really dumb. I also don't like having to double click every time I want a note. Like, clicking extra just seems like more work. With Reason, you've got your draw tool. You can just click once to input a note. I know you do have a pencil tool in Ableton, but that does that. Like, I just want to be able to draw 1 and drag it out, but instead I have to draw 1 and drag it out by double clicking. So there's that. What is super sick about Ableton is the ability to fold stuff. If you're only working on, like, that's really cool. Ableton is also far superior in how you move things around. Like, when I click and drag this, I get a cursor which shows me where stuff is. That's super helpful. Just the ability to highlight anything in terms of copying and looping stuff or whatever. Like, basically, Ableton's piano roll is better than Reason's, except when it comes to inputting notes. When it comes to inputting notes, Reason wins. Same when it comes to actually like inputting clips and drawing in your arrangement view, Reason wins. Ableton just doesn't have like a set of tools for drawing or writing clips and stuff, which is kind of disappointing because overall I prefer Ableton's piano roll and Ableton's sequencer, but the note input in Ableton does not live up to Reason's in that regard. Let's just program a quick beat. I don't know, something. Yes, this was up. In general, I like Ableton's play and pause thing and the ability to kind of hold Alt and space to play from that clip. That's really good. Reason doesn't have as much functionality around it as that. Alright. But you can do like this whole kind of thing. That's where the draw tool comes in handy. Or the ability to kind of resize easily. So I can easily jump between 16th notes or 8th notes and that kind of thing. I can change what the grid does on the piano roll. You can't do that in Reason. One of my other biggest gripes about Reason at the moment is you have to click manually every time to change the grid size. Kind of annoying. But if I've got the grid size set to 8th now, I can go to this draw tool and do that. Like, I understand that this is kind of a different way of working from what I'm used to with Reason, but I still don't like it. Okay, so in Ableton you can hold down Command and move up or down to change the velocity of the note. That is a super sick feature. You can't do that in Reason. But let's just say I want to copy these two notes here. I can select this whole bar and just duplicate that and it puts it in the right place. With Reason, it would have only selected the distance between here and here. And when you go duplicate, it would have put it there and there. That's what it would have done in Reason. Ableton wins in that regard. Alright. There we go, little drum beat. Alright, Ableton's ability to kind of like loop stuff. Still not ridiculously familiar with some of Ableton's controls yet. Command, Command Shift. So Command lets you put the loop marker there, Command Shift lets you put the end of the loop marker there. So now when the loop is on, I can do that. Yes, good times. I think it's dope how you can also have this individual control over the clips down here. Reason does give you some control over clips, but it's less fully featured than Ableton. So I can make these two bigger, just to work on these two. One thing I don't like about Ableton is the way that it handles automation. Like, the way it handles automation is good, it's just not what I'm used to. I kind of want to be able to see what I'm doing with automation at all times, whereas you kind of can't in Ableton. You have to go into this automation menu, which like, it has its pros and cons, and you can do all kinds of good stuff, but that's just different from Reason. I don't think it's necessarily worse or not worse, but it's just different. So let's say that I want to put this filter here and I want to automate like the filter frequency. I can do that here now. One thing that Ableton has done, which is so sick in 10.1, is added these automation shapes. So you can easily kind of automate stuff like this. You can also do what I think is absolutely incredible. Oh, show modulation. Right, yeah, it's the same way you add automation. If I just select the area that I want to modulate, so say I want to modulate that first part, select the modulation. Now it does the same thing as if I put automation on it. So if we go back to here, you have to just make sure you get the parameters right for what you want to do. But what this lets you do is this lets you have movement within a clip on any parameter that's separate from what your thing is. So I can move this here now, and it's going to modulate it relatively the same as when I had the filter set up higher. I can put it like way down here. So you can see that the modulation movement is the same, but I've moved it in a different spot. So that's different from automation. You can't do that in Reason. I don't know if you can do it in any other software. I haven't actually looked, but that is super sick. A feature that I really dig with Ableton. I don't actually want to do that right now. Anyway. Okay, so just looking at the arrangement view here, Ableton in 10.1 added something that I said in my What I Want Reason 11 video. They added something that I wanted in Reason, which is the ability to see the grid behind the clip. Great, that's really great. What I found is Ableton is really good for showing you where stuff is. Like if I drag this clip around, there's a full-on line that's showing me where it is in relation to everything else. Like I don't have to second guess stuff. And at any point I can get into any clip and transpose any clip, see the waveform of any clip. Like when I select stuff in this clip here, it's reflected up there in the sequencer. Same thing here, when I select something here in this MIDI clip, it's selected in the sequencer. If I'm looking up here, I can also see the range that it's selected up the top. So the interplay between the different elements of the sequencer in Ableton is really good. So let's move some of these out of the way. We'll start off with that pad. So in Reason, well, for a start, I can't resize anything. I can only resize everything. If I want to minimize stuff, you've got to, one at a time, click on these tiny little arrows, which are really hard to hit. Not great. Let's add a quick drum beat. I don't know what this sounds like, but we'll see. So one of the things about Reason that you can't see what it sounds like. Ableton, you can see what it sounds like. I've got no idea what this drum kit sounds like. But Reason does have these different tools up here. So like if I want to insert a clip, I just hit my draw tool and draw the clip in. That is far easier than Ableton, I think, personally. To me, after using Ableton, the Reason sequencer just feels a bit clunky. So this is my piano roll here. So I can, do this tool. Let's just do a four on the floor beat. I don't like this drum kit. So like if you are quick at switching between your tools, that was an accident, but I kind of like where that was. Reason's pretty quick. But let's say like, I have a clip in here. If I want to, I hit my razor tool and I can split that, and now I have two clips. You can't do that in Ableton. If you're in Ableton and you have like that and you want two clips, you have to, like I said before, drag one and then duplicate. Not as good. But in Reason, if I'm dragging this around, I don't have any line or marker that indicates where it is in relation to anything else, which Ableton does have, which is dope. But say Reason, if I highlight everything and I go duplicate, notice how it only highlighted, like, I can't highlight a whole bar. So Reason, if you duplicate something, you have to then move it over. That's dumb. So I've got really fast at using keyboard commands to move between the different like tools that one would use to write and input notes in the piano roll. And like if you're on grid mode in Reason, you'll notice as you zoom in and out the grid changes. Really great feature when they added that, but still it will be nice to change the grid to specifically what you want, like you can in Ableton. Also, there's no way to change the velocity other than clicking on it specifically. And when you're in edit mode in Reason, when you are in edit mode, yeah, see all of this kind of stuff is hard to get to. Drum 1, pan. Whee, I can change that now. Cool, but when you are in edit mode in Reason, you can't see anything that's in this sequencer. So like, let's just say I wanted to line a specific beat up to like this part of the clip here, this part here. I'd have to go out of edit mode, line it up, go back into edit mode, be like, oh, okay, that's where it is in relation to my clip. I can now put that there. You can't really see nicely between edit mode and arrange mode at the same time, which does kind of suck. But like, hitting my razor tool is one button. Slicing stuff up like that with the razor tool is one button. I find having the razor tool far better than having to manually slice stuff like you do in Ableton. Looping, like if I want to play back there, I can just highlight that and push P. But because I've got three things playing at the same time, there's no way to solo it just by pushing a button. I have to come over here and hit solo, which sucks. Oh, automation in Reason. Like, let's say I want to put a filter on here as well. I would do that from the filter here. So once I've got a filter, it just adds a new track under it. There's no curves. You have to specifically put in every point, and they're just straight lines. Very dumb. And I can minimize that. It's not super great. Again, the minimizing in Reason is not great, but I do like how I can see the automation underneath the clip. But I don't like how there's no easy way to minimize it if I don't want to see it at all. Yeah. So yeah, that is my thoughts on both sequences in Reason and Ableton. As I said at the beginning, I think Ableton has the far superior sequencer to Reason. However, I think Reason wins when it comes to actually inputting notes, like the actual clicking around and doing things with your mouse and keyboard to input the notes or the MIDI clips. I just don't think Ableton has enough tools to allow you to do that as easily as you can in Reason. However, other than that, the usability and functionality of the Ableton sequencer is far superior to anything I can do in Reason. So yeah, that's my thoughts. I'm going to be doing more of these as I kind of get into Ableton, looking at different aspects of Ableton versus Reason. So if you want to see more of that, subscribe below, give the video a like. Let me know if you've got any comments about the sequencer in Reason or Ableton, or if I've missed any features. And let me know what feature you like most about other software. But that's it for today, guys. I will see you for the next one. Not sure what I'm going to talk about in relation to that. Maybe using it as a recording tool. That's going to come at some point. But yeah, until then, catch you later.